Hi, good morning. Today we're going to read a poem by Nikki Giovanni, an American poet who was born in 1943 in Tennessee and who is still alive, I'm happy to say. Nikki Giovanni is a Black poet and a noted member of the Black arts movement, which in the 1960s and 70s sort of was intertwined with the Black Power movement growing out of the civil rights movement. And was an attempt to sort of give artistic form to the revolutionary goals and aspirations of the Black Power movement. So it was really an inherently political art movement. And her early work is really, expressive of that in particular. It's quite explicitly revolutionary in character, explicitly political. It's agitating. Over the decades, her work, I think it keeps that edge, but it begins to incorporate a lot more themes, kind of from her lived experience and her travels around the world. One thing that's notable, I think, about Nikki Giovanni is that she began to write poetry after the death of her beloved grandmother, as a way to process her grief. And I think that sort of connection with grief is probably something that is relatively consistent in her work throughout her ongoing career. Other things of note, she, I think I said, she was raised in Cincinnati. She attended Fisk University, where I think what I read online, she did meet Robert Hayden, who was teaching there. Though they had such entirely different worldviews and sensibilities, I'd be curious to know more about that meeting. And she's taught for many years since the 80s at Virginia Tech University, where in 2007 she was invited after the horrific mass shooting there to commemorate the victims in a poetic speech, which I think you can watch online. So the poem I chose is coming from this wonderful, pretty new anthology, came out last year, of African American poetry through the centuries. And I chose one that comes from the more revolutionary early period, called For Saundra from 1968. I wanted to write a poem that rhymes, but revolution doesn't lend itself to bebopping. Then my neighbor, who thinks I hate, asked, "Do you ever write tree poems?" I like trees, so I thought I'll write a beautiful green tree poem. Peeked from my window to check the image. Noticed the schoolyard was covered with asphalt. No green. No trees grow in Manhattan. Then, I thought the sky. I'll do a big blue sky poem. But all the clouds have winged low since no Dick was elected. So I thought again, and it occurred to me, maybe I shouldn't write at all, but clean my gun and check my kerosene supply. Perhaps these are not poetic times at all.